Hello, I'm Ayako Sekiguchi from Wellness Kitchen. This time, I'd like to show you how to make plum jam without using granulated sugar. Plums are only available seasonally, so we often make plum wine or syrup to enjoy during summer. Plums are truly special. Even though it's fun to prepare them, there are a lot of plums that you can't eat or drink right away, even if you make them quickly. This time, since we're making plum jam, I want to introduce a recipe that you can eat as soon as the next day after making it. With plum wine or plum syrup, I think many of you have tried making them, but maybe not plum jam. Plum jam, like plum extract, contains natural ingredients that help improve blood circulation even without heating and have simple, healthy effects. I want to talk more about those benefits this time. Since it has such simple and healthy effects, I want to make a jam that can be lined up with other jams, so this time I'm not using any refined sugar at all. Instead, I'll introduce various healthy natural sweeteners that you can try. In this video, I'll especially talk about the health benefits of heated plums, how to make plum jam, how to choose healthy sweeteners, and their unique characteristics. I'll also include a chapter list so you can easily go back and watch any part you want to see again. Please watch until the end. The Wellness Kitchen channel regularly shares anti-aging information and themes to improve your mental and physical well-being through diet. Remember to subscribe to the channel. That's right. The health benefits of plums are widely known. You might think so, but plums are said to overcome the 3 poisons: water poisoning, food poisoning, and blood poisoning. Water poisoning is excess bodily moisture, while food poisoning results from dietary imbalances. Plums have the effect of purifying the blood, helping to prevent blood poisoning. They're a simple and wonderful food. Among them, plums contain an effective component called mumefural, which is produced when they are heated. Dr. Mitsuhiro Matsumoto, also known as the Plum Doctor, is sharing about the benefits of plums. I'd like to briefly introduce the 13 benefits. The first of the 13 benefits is improved blood flow. This is the effect of making the blood smoother. The second one, weak alkalization. Eating a lot of meat and carbohydrates tends to make your body more acidic, which weakens alkalization effect. Third, it activates immune cells. Fourth, it has a chelate effect that increases the absorption of minerals. Fifth, it suppresses sweat component alteration. Sixth, it aids in fatigue recovery. Seventh, it detoxifies the liver. Eighth, it stops blood stagnation. Ninth, it lowers blood pressure. 10th, it promotes the secretion of gastric juice and digestive fluids. 11th, it has antibacterial and antifungal effects. 12th, it promotes the removal of aging substances. 13th, it is anti-allergy effects. And so, it has various effects that are useful for preventing lifestyle-related diseases. That's right, due to heating, it produces something called Maillard reaction products. This is a substance created when the sugars and citric acid contained in yume undergo a chemical reaction, but in addition, it's believed that the citric acid and polyphenols, which are abundant in yume, as well as something called umelignan, each have various effects. Because of the simple and refreshing effects, I want to make a sweet drink that's healthy for the body, even with just a little or no added sugar. That's why this is a sugar-free yume jam, but it's definitely made with yume. Here, I have 1 kilogram, and since it's sugar-free, I want to introduce other various sweeteners besides sugar. For example, oligosaccharides or lakanto, and then there's erythritol, which is the main ingredient in lakanto. It's a natural sweetener that's said to be good for the body, so I'd like to explain more about it in detail at the end. You can adjust which sweetener you use according to your preference. If you can't get some of these, it's fine to just use honey. First, remove the stems from the yume and then use a bamboo skewer to take them out easily. This part here is the yume. This time I'm using green yume, but you can also use fully ripened yume or even frozen ones. For jam, it's fine to use yume that are a little bruised or have some blemishes. If you have yume that are a bit overripe or leftover, that's totally fine too. For example, if you have a lot of umi and can't use them all right away, you can freeze them and then use them as they are to make jam. So I hope you'll make the most of your yume with this recipe and use them however you'd like. There's also a video on making umeshu, so feel free to check it out if interested. Thanks. Add just enough water to cover the yume, and once it comes to a boil, lower the heat and simmer gently so that the yume don't break apart. This time for making jam, I'll be using sterilized wide-mouth jars. Non-stainless steel can turn black due to the acid from yume. This time, I'm not using granulated sugar, but if you don't add sugar, it'll be too sour to eat. Normally, store-bought jam doesn't use granulated sugar. There are actually quite a few products out there labeled as no granulated sugar, but in most cases, they've just replaced the sugar with something like concentrated fruit juice from apples or grapes. So basically, it still contains fruit sugar or grape sugar derived from fruit, so it's pretty much the same thing. I want to focus on jams that are less likely to raise blood sugar levels by using sweeteners other than regular white sugar. There are different ingredients like brown sugar and molasses with various names and colors. These alternatives tend to have a gentler effect on blood sugar levels compared to regular sugar. They also often contain nutrients like vitamins, minerals, amino acids, polyphenols, and organic acids. Among them, there's something called gluconic acid, which is the only major organic acid present in large amounts. This acid helps increase good bacteria and improve your gut environment. The plums have become nice and soft. These white bubbles you see here are a sign of that. Even if you leave this kind of scum as it is, it's perfectly fine. You can just let it flow as it is. Put them in water to cool. Keep adding water and cooling them until you can hold them with your hands and the rough heat is gone. These are womb fruits, and I'm removing the pits from the womb fruits. The center of the structure is thicker, so please be careful. This is the seed, and this is its actual appearance. There are 1.7 pounds here, so I'm calculating how much sugar to add for this amount. Usually for jam, you add quite a bit of granulated sugar, but this time I'm going to use less. This time, that's what I'll do. Since I want to keep the sweetness under control, I'm also going to be selective about which sweeteners I use and choose them carefully. This time, I'm mainly going to use erythritol and a little bit of oligosaccharide, aiming to use about 50 to 60% of the weight of the plums. This time, I want to make it with about half the amount, so if you want to make a smaller batch, just adjust the amount of plums accordingly. You can calculate it as around half. If you prefer it sweeter, you can increase the amount. I think that's fine too. This time, I'm thinking of using half of the sugar as regular sugar and adjusting the rest with erythritol and oligosaccharide sugar. So I'm going to add about 7 ounces, which is half the amount of the plums, or rather half of that 5/10. It might sound a bit confusing, but that's what I'll do. Please simmer it over low heat. As it cooks, the plums will become soft and tender. Once that happens, add the sugar. When it reaches your preferred firmness, it's done. Add the same amount of erythritol by weight. This time, since we have 1.7 pounds, we'll use about 1.76 pounds as a reference. So we'll add 0.5 of that, which is 14 ounces of sweetener. That means we'll have 7 ounces left over from the original 14 ounces. We're using erythritol and oligosaccharide, but oligosaccharide is only about 30% as sweet as regular sugar, and erythritol is about 70% as sweet, so they're both less sweet than regular sugar. Please adjust the amount to your taste. As for oligosaccharide, there are several types such as maltose and fructoligosaccharide, and they are often sold in small bottles. So even if you add these to regular sugar, the calories are halved and the sweetness isn't too strong, but it's not as sweet as honey or maple syrup. These sugars are also widely found in vegetables, so they're not just something special. At first glance, they might look like syrup, but when they cool down, the effect of the plum pectin makes them solidify. So if you want a slightly syrupy texture, don't cook it for too long, just heat it gently and then take it off the heat when it's still a little runny. Simmer it over medium to low heat for about 10 minutes. If you want to store the container, make sure to sterilize it by boiling it like this. It's best to sterilize the container thoroughly and let it cool before pouring in the contents. Even after opening, you should store it in the refrigerator and try to consume it within about a month. Think of it like jam. You can also put it in a storage bag and keep it frozen. That's another way to store it. Just be careful when it's still hot. Be careful not to let it boil over and simmer it gently. You can also sterilize it with food-grade alcohol, which I think is a good idea. It's cooked thoroughly. Don't worry about the bubbles you see. It's perfectly fine. That happens when it's simmering. Most of the plum stems have been removed already, so don't worry about taking out every single one. It's not a problem. It might feel a bit soft now, but as it cools, it will firm up, so take it off the heat while it's still a little soft. To keep it fresh and preserve it well, store it like this. To ensure proper sterilization, submerge the jar in hot water up to about 2/3 or 3/4 of its height and boil it as it is. Once it's done, try tasting the freshly made plum jam. The color is beautiful too. It's so glossy. When you make it with green plums, it becomes even thicker and more syrupy. Since the sweetness is kept mild, eating the jam alone is quite tart, but it's still enjoyable. It feels like it's refreshing my body. It feels like I'm getting energized. You can put it in yogurt or spread it on bread. That sounds good too, but it's quite simple. The balance of sourness and sweetness is really nice, so after sautéing the meat, if you add this jam and mix it in, it turns out really delicious. It's really simple and delicious, so I hope you'll give it a try. This time, I introduced a healthy way to make plum jam without using any white sugar. This plum jam is perfect for recovering from fatigue and is more than just a simple supplement. In my opinion, you should try making plum jam with fresh, in-season plums. I made it myself. It was really helpful for managing my health during the summer. Thank you so much for watching until the end. I hope to see you again in another video. Thank you very much for watching.